Welcome to Conversations with Zaki Baruti, with your host, Zaki Baruti. And like always, to my biological family, what's going on? To the Universal African Peoples Organization family, what's happening? And to the New Life Evangelistic Center family, keep up the great work led by Reverend Rice. And a shout out to our cameraman, Bob. This evening, we'll have another great show. In studio with me is a very lovely, intelligent, and dedicated young lady that's been on the battlefield for the upliftment of our people for a number of years and comes from Kansas City, Missouri. And that's none other than Miss Gigi Owens, also known as Queen Akiba. How you doing there?
Yes.
Oh, okay then. Well, welcome to Conversations with Zaki Baruti. And when I begin the shows, I'd like for our listeners, the thousands of listeners who are tuned in, to know a little bit about the person that I'm interviewing. And would you share your background, and then we'll go from there as far as subject.
Well, I would like to say that I have been working toward the movement since I was young. My parents are original members of Freedom Incorporated, which at that time was a very strong catalyst for people of African American ancestry in Kansas City via Leon Jordan. As time has gone on, college days movement, born in the 50s, so been through the civil rights movement, and was blessed to be listening in the 70s, or actually the 80s, to Bob Law Night Talk Show and heard about Zaki Baruti and wanted to meet him. He had came to Kansas City, and I was able to meet him at my former high school. And at that time, he was making history running for governor of the state of Missouri, and have been working with Zaki since that time to continue to uplift the people in Kansas City, really across the globe, and here in St. Louis, staying very participatory, working with the Universal African Peoples Organization. Love the energy and strength. I call the Midwest the catalyst, the movement catalyst in the Midwest on a national level. But love coming up here.
Well, we appreciate you being here. And, of course, in terms of your history, as you made mention, I was a candidate for governor, and we met in what year again?
1984.
And we've been hanging ever since in terms of jointly trying to empower our people. So I thank you for your many years of service to our community. Before we, on April the 4th, you were here in St. Louis, and I have a copy of our newspaper, which simply says, cover sheet, that April 4th, 1989 to April 4th, 2019, as the UAPO celebrates 30 years speaking truth to power. A force of 144,000 plus is still needed in preparation for the 2020 national and state elections and other social issues impacting our communities. All hands on board. And then below that, we have an article where we said expressed 2 St. Louis County police officers fired as a result of the UAPO exposing their wickedness. And why, in your mind, is a force of folks needed? Our organization say 144,000 to make change. Why? What would be your opinion, and why would you say that?
I would say that because we're going to go back to our original origins when we were forced to come here to this country, millions and millions upon millions of us. Even with that many people being forced to come here as a group collectively, it's going to take really that many and more. But if we can work toward a goal of 144,000, that is a catalyst to get the masses of people maybe to listen to a movement. Movements only, to me, reach a peak and get busy when so many people have decided to come on board.
Right, and within that concept, we're saying people who have a basic belief system of one God, and we're not tripping on religion.
Oh, no.
One goal, and that goal should be the liberation of us as a people, and one destiny, where things are much better for all humanity, including ourselves. So to that end, and going back into history, on the campaign trail with, at that time I was LaVar Zaki Reed, but still also known as Zaki Baruti.
Still known as Zaki.
What was that experience like, and why should people be involved politically?
where everybody should belong to an organization for sure. And at some point in everybody's life, be it you or a family member, you're going to encounter law enforcement or some type of unrighteous move. It might be in housing, employment, with your children, whatever. So everybody needs to belong to an organization for sure. Second, working with Zaki Baruti, let me look in the camera, is a true experience. But one where you grow from, become more knowledgeable, and as well, change your whole focus and really want to. After you learn the truth, you can't want to do nothing but get busy. If you really plan to get busy, working with Zaki will be the reason.
Okay, then. And again, on the question of politics, we as an organization advocate what we call proportionate political representation. You want to address that issue, proportionate political representation, from your perspective?
I don't have every figure like Zaki does, but I'm quite aware of them. We are in the low part of the totem pole as far as any type of office, the running for governor, the mayor, the state representative, the alderman. We need to stay busy and keep abreast of what's going on. You cannot change the powers if you don't have the people. You won't have the people unless you get the numbers.
Okay, and again, just as a refresher to our audience, proportionate political representation simply means wherever percentage we are as a people
that we should be representative,
right, on the national, state, and local levels, we should have that percentage of people empowered. And today, out of 50 governors, none are black, which is shameful. And in the United States, where we should have at least 5, 6 black governors in this country. In the United States Senate, out of 100, we only hold 3 offices when we should have at least 13. And I use that number based on what they say is the census of black people in this country being 13%. So to that end, in terms of part of your history, also, one of the concepts of the organization early on was the development of rising sons and rising daughters to be like an Africanized Boy Scout or what have you.
Yes, sir.
And you embraced that in Kansas City, and I want people to hear your experiences working with our youth back in those years. But before we do that, we got to take a break.
It's the gifts of caring people like you that help keep the Zaki Baruti Show on the air, dealing with hard issues that we must begin to recognize in our community, issues that are frequently ignored by much of the existing media. And St. Louis and the St. Louis area is a community that's famous for its Jim Crow policies of keeping the people down by elevating the rich and the powerful. I want to encourage you to get a copy of the book Through the Fire as you share your gift of $10 or more to help keep Zaki's program on the air and directly help the hurting and the homeless. This book goes into great detail about how the bigotry and the self-centeredness of the rich and powerful was implemented through the politicians to drive the homeless out of the area by shutting down the work of New Life Evangelistic Center. But the work isn't shut down. It's moving forth in many other different locations. It's moved out on the streets among the people, and it's working to get back into 1411 Locust, all of which is made possible through the prayers and gifts of caring individuals like you. And that's why your gift is so very important at this time. And as you share that gift with New Life Evangelistic Center of $10 or more at P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, 63166, be sure you request your copy of Through the Fire. Yes, God is moving in a mighty way. New Life Evangelistic Center has not given up in spite of all the persecution. It's given it to God, and we're seeing Him now do exceedingly abundantly beyond what we can even ask or think. I ask you to continue to pray for us at the New Life Evangelistic Center as we're working to continue to bring you community programming like the Zaki Baruti Show and are out on the streets among the homeless, working among the homeless, distributing bus tickets every week and emergency supplies for them, opening up safe houses for the homeless, women and children, expanding training programs for the homeless. All of it is possible because of each one of you that is sharing that much-needed gift now with New Life Evangelistic Center. So when you send your gift of $10 or more, please request a copy of Through the Fire. It's P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri. That's 63166.
How important are St. Louis Metro passes to the needy? To provide stability and permanent change to the homeless, they need jobs. But how do they get transportation to look for work when they have no money? And when they find a job, how will they get there? Become a part of NLEC's Metro Pass program and help bring enduring change to a life.
I have doctor's appointments that I have to attend, going to seek jobs and putting in applications. I really would like you to understand the importance and the need for this ministry, and anything that you can do to keep this ministry going. Please know that it is an extension of God's love.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zaki Baruti. In studio with me is the lovely, intelligent, and activist from Kansas City, Missouri, member of the Universal African Peoples Organization, as well as the International Health Society, which we're going to talk about, and that's none other than Mr. Gigi Owens. Gigi, on the flip side, we were talking about politics a little bit in terms of proportionate political representation. But just for your information, I know you're in and out of St. Louis, and St. Louis is like another home for you.
Yes.
Politically, there's a group that's, first of all, there's a group called Better Together. And they're making a proposal of combining St. Louis City and St. Louis County as one governmental agency. And it's ironic that they will be proposing it now when in the city of St. Louis, which is for the first time in history, have about 7 elected citywide offices that's held by blacks and 2 white citywide office holders. And that's after many years of trying to empower themselves, the community trying to empower itself. Okay. And then you got this group that's coming along, which would, in essence, if there's a combination, swallow up St. Louis City, because St. Louis County is supposed to be about over 1 million people. St. Louis City, I think about 300,000, and all of those gains politically would be diluted, and that whole concept of proportionate political representation would be kind of like washed away. Your thoughts on that? But before you, and I got a theme for that thought that I think people ought to embrace as a counter for Better Together. All right.
Okay, we have to stop even allowing people to take back over. This is similar to the cute word they want to use now, gentrification.
Right.
It's actually called the incognito takeover as far as I'm concerned. We have to continue to fight and do everything that people up here in St. Louis do. One thing I respect about up here is how you all will get out and make sure that righteousness is going to prevail. St. Louis is at the forefront of that across the nation. So I applaud you all for that. And moves that you have done, the closing up of 70 and everything else that has been a catalyst up here, I say continue to do and hope that spreads across, even as close to Kansas City. Praying for y'all up in Kansas City. I'm looking in the camera and praying.
And on that note, it's just ironic. Earlier today, I was at getting my shoes shined, and the brother who does that kind of work asked me about my thoughts about Better Together, and so we got into it, but he closed it out, and I promised him that I would share that with as many people as everybody, and he said, no, it's better for them.
Yeah, better for them.
Right. So I say, right on, I've done that, Brother Andre. So to that end, I had asked you about Rising Suns and your development of working with young people. Share your experience of working with young people.
So happy that Zaki and I discussed the concept, but it sounded like something wonderful definitely to take back to Kansas City and do. Over a period of time from 1989 up until actually 2009, carried the Rising Sons and Daughter concept, which was cultural arts, knowledge of yourself and your community, teaching beginning Swahili, homework network, community service, and performing arts in dance, African drums, and artistic talents on canvas, was able to work with over 4,500 youth. And was also blessed during a period of time I lived here in St. Louis to work with 61 young people who carried the Rising Sons and Daughter banner high, as well as a chapter that Zaki and Miss Brady Reed, I'm thinking about you, had started here in St. Louis. So 4,500 youth have African names now, and they're all now between the ages of 43 and maybe 21. So we have to applaud those people who have taken their culture and move forward, and actually the gains of knowledge. This is something we have to instill in our children. Knowledge. Knowledge is strength, which also creates willpower. And that's what we need in this movement now, using other brains and spreading the culture.
So on that note, why is it important for folks to organize youth organizations and work with our youth?
We have to know this now. We need to not put all our stock into cell phones and computers. That does not make that generation smarter. Baby boomer age, which there are more of us in populace now, we have to share our knowledge or we're going to have lost generations to follow behind us. And culture is important because without knowledge of culture, you have no knowledge of our story. Not their story, our story.
And you know what? It takes me back to one of our colleagues, Brother Willie Marshall, who had a profound statement, something to the effect, I'm paraphrasing, if you did not invest in youth time, finances, then you're a part of genocide on the young people. So I just wanted to salute that thought from Brother Willie Marshall. Yes. On that note, you also founded the International Black Hat Society.
That's another extension of working again with you, Brother Zaki, and knowing the unity that we need to have, as females, mostly heads of household, to know how to unify and work together, in solidarity as far as business and structure and getting people involved in the political arena.
Okay, then. Now, in terms of any kind of concrete work that you have done as it relates to International Hat Society?
What we have done is ladies and now gentlemen who have been part of our organization have run for political office, have started businesses and or in leadership positions as they were in Kansas City, and when they left and had a broader scope of what they need to do as they travel and move forward. It's not a group thing where you show up every month, but it's a thing where you show up and get the knowledge and strength to go out in the community and move forward the agenda of our culture and history.
Now, when you return back to Kansas City, many communities have different kinds of problems. I wonder if there's a current issue that's impacting people. But before we get into that, we got to take another break.
I hope you're enjoying the Zaki Baruti Show, and I thank God for each one of you that are praying and working with us to get back into the 1411 Locust Building, one of the greatest acts of discrimination in modern history, as we see a 5-story facility shut down because neighbors didn't want to see those kind of people in the neighborhood, as they refer to them at. Those kind of people, as they refer to them at, are actually individuals that are made in the image of God, who Jesus said, as oft you've done to the least of these, he said, even so you've done it unto me. As you share a gift of $10 or more with the New Life Evangelistic Center, you're not only helping New Life Evangelistic Center to get back into 1411 Locust Street, but you're helping so many of the hurting and the homeless in so many different ways. And as you share your gift, please request your copy of Through the Fire. It tells you the whole story of steps that were taken by the rich and powerful to shut down 1411 Locust. Now we're working to get back in there, and it will happen as you pray, as you get directly involved. So as you share your gift, be sure you ask for a copy of Through the Fire, and know that by giving, caring, and sharing at this time, you're helping so many people that are in need.
If you can't receive NLEC TV on channel 24.2 on your TV, you can watch us on your home computer or laptop, anywhere in the world. Simply type in NLEC TV, then select NLEC TV support and click on the small NLEC TV on the right of the menu bar. Click on the play indicator to start the live programming, the same programming as 24.2. You can then enlarge the picture and enjoy your favorite programs like the NLEC Worship with Larry Rice, The Bernie Hayes Show, Experience the Benefits of Change with Pastor Burris, Conversations with Zaki Baruti, News and Views, and so much more.
Can you hear the music of creation?
NLEC TV is also available on all mobile devices such as smartphones and iPads. By getting the NLEC TV app, you can enjoy NLEC TV anywhere you go.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zaki Baruti. In studio with me is a beautiful, intelligent, and activist young lady who was the founder of the first chapter of the Universal African Peoples Organization in Kansas City, Missouri in 1989. And we had talked prior about her involvement with youth, and now she also has created an organization called International Health Society. And on the other side, I was asking what kind of concrete programs have you done, or the organization has done, under the International Health Society recently?
Well, we picked up the baton in 2002 as we stopped the school suspension program we had been doing for 12 years called Project Alert, and picked back up the Black Hat Society, working with the youth and reorganizing.
Wait a minute, what was Project Alert?
Project Alert was a school suspension. Brother Kincaid, shout out to you, that we work with students suspended, expelled, dropout, and court-ordered.
You say you represented them.
No, we founded the program and started it.
Okay. And what was the purpose of Project Alert? That's what I'm trying to get to.
To work with students suspended, expelled, dropout, and court-ordered. They were in Kansas City walking the streets on a regular basis.
Oh, you brought them into a place, and
an environment.
What kind of services did you provide?
We provided, working with the school district, actually picked our program up after the first year. We kept a contract with them the next 11 years, going to retrieving their assignments from the school, retired teachers working with them to rewrite a curriculum so they would have assignments to do. The school district allowed them to turn in this work for the time they were out of school and readmit them back to school.
Oh.
And then they did a contract. If they got suspended again, they'd be expelled. But 95% of all our students went back to school, completed their probationary period, and 90% graduated from high school.
And what percentage that you impacted?
What percentage?
About what number under Project Alert?
Well, I want to say 100% because
how many youth did you touch?
Went through our program? Yeah. 3,900 students went through our program over the 12-year period.
Oh, okay then.
Yes.
All right, moving on then, under the International Health Society, have you done any kinds of community activities?
We work on our political forums. We have cultural events every year. We do a Juneteenth program, and this will be this year our 22nd annual Marcus M. Garvey 3-day celebration. And we also do a Rising Sons and Daughter Day in November, which is the month that our organization was founded. We're currently working on campaigns. We had a very successful candidate forum last Saturday in Kansas City on March 30th. We had 18 candidates running for mayor and city council attend, which is probably the largest group who attended one candidate forum in Kansas City. And we now is 77 days till the final opportunity and time in which we will be doing political education, working along with some of the candidates, and as well making sure we get the word out that people need to get out and vote. We're coming close to maybe having another African-American mayor in Kansas City and city council people, and it's paramount that we have people so we can get back into the fold and get back into the movement of what's going on in Kansas City as opposed to the regentrification that's going on.
So to that end, if anybody in the Kansas City area or across the country want to get in contact with you, how would they be getting in contact with you?
You will contact me at area code 816-277-6237, and please leave a message.
You know, in that, I think on the other side, I also have made mention in many major cities you have, different major issues. And one of the major issues we already talked about here in the St. Louis area was that proposal for the merger. Is there any prevailing issue that's on a lot of the Kansas City people's minds?
Issues on the Kansas City people's mind currently are employment, housing, and youth. Those are the main issues in Kansas City because employment, we're lacking people that actually have the skills for all the employment that's going on in Kansas City. We have major projects going on, the airport and this local construction where we don't have enough people in trades. Housing, we still have a lot of people homeless, and with the regentrification, people have come in and built $1 million, $2 million, and $500,000 homes and apartment complexes where the lowest rent is $700 to $800 a month. That's a housing problem. You've tore down concrete solutions for people to live in, to build for other people who want to move back into the city. Last but not least, youth. Every week there are youth murders and killings in Kansas City and problems with youth in different shopping areas. Kansas City's most prominent...
Hold your thought again. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's all right. That's all right.
I got to take one last break.
An epidemic of homelessness is sweeping throughout the United States of America. In city after city, people are ending up on the streets. Now, instead of feeling overwhelmed, as believers, we can do three things. We can give, we can volunteer, and we can pray. We can pray for the homeless refugees that we're finding in one city after another, all over the United States. So many people ending up out on the streets, and the hearts of so many are growing cold at this particular time and indifferent to the need. Jesus said, as oft as you've done it to the least of these, he said, even so you've done it unto me. When's the last time you've prayed for the homeless refugees in the United States of America, appearing in city after city, not only in major cities, but even smaller cities? So many people ending up out on the streets, even in resort areas, places you never think you'd find homeless people. They're there. Jesus said, foxes have holes and birds have nests, but he, the Son of Man, had nowhere to lay his head. Please pray for the refugees. Please pray for the homeless people in America, and pray for those that are on the front lines, the first responders, reaching out through Jesus Christ among the homeless and hurting, whether it's in Springfield or St. Louis. Your prayers and gifts to the New Life Evangelistic Center makes a big difference. This New Life Evangelistic Center, P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, is 63166.
John 11, verses 25 and 26.
I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies, and whoever lives and believes in me will never die.
Hello, I'm Larry Rice, and I'm inviting you to join me daily on the New Life Facebook page. Something new, something exciting every day. So go to facebook.com/New Life STL and discover what's happening on a daily basis as New Life Evangelistic Center begins to share with you a wide variety of subjects. I look forward to visiting you on the Facebook page. Remember, there's so much just waiting for you at that particular page.
Welcome back to a conversation with Zaki Baruti. We only got a couple minutes left, and we'll be wrapping this up with the Miss Gigi Owens as our guest. Gigi, you were saying on the other side about youth killings and what have you, and continue.
Every week there are youth being killed in Kansas City. The best program they ever had set up in Kansas City was a program called Hot Summer Nights, which they can just extend it throughout the year, but it kept them engaged mentally, socially, with homework, activities and places for them to go each and every week. So they need to reset that up and help make it a model that can be used across the nation. But we have to stop these murders with the young people and find something for them to do educational, not just sports.
My last question for the evening, why should people join the Universal African People's Organization, be one of the 144,000?
If you want to be out in the cold and not what's going on, don't join. But if you join, the educational, knowledge, spiritual guidance, the traveling, the networking, all the opportunities we need to help build, again, our employment, our housing, our youth, and our international thinking and studies, which we need, those would be the reason to join, and the wonderful African American Newsworld that's in print, full of knowledge on the international level. That's why.
And again, if anybody is interested in supporting the organization, you can reach us at area code 314-833-4151, or you can call me directly, area code 314-477-4629, or you can go to our website at www.uapo.org. Gigi, has been another great evening, in terms of discussion, and we only have 1 minute left. Do you have a concluding statement? 1 minute.
Be one of the 144,000. Everybody needs to join the organization. The Universal African People's Organization here in St. Louis. If you come to Kansas City, the International Black Hat Society is for you, which will be working always in conjunction with the UAPO. Take care and be safe out here.
And if not our organization, you need to join some movement that speaks truth to power. We're in some real critical times, and people have to stand up and speak truth to power. On that note, I want to again thank everybody who's listening to our program, and again encourage you to join an organization, and may God bless each and every one of you.